Hi everyone. We're going to start today with a joke. What did the Dalmatian say after lunch? That hit the spot. All right, so today's objective is to be able to draft your body paragraphs for your thesis paper. This will mostly involve copying and pasting from your outline and then cleaning things up a little bit. However, there are two things you didn't do in the outline of your body paragraphs, which you'll want to do in the draft. They are introducing the quotes or paraphrases and transitioning. So I'm going to show you what that looks like today. You're going to start, as I kind of said, by hitting Control A and Control C, so selecting all and copying your outline into your draft. And little by little, you'll delete all of these labels and things. Now, if you have a complete sentence for your first reason, this is your topic sentence. Mine says, because climate change is occurring more quickly than animal adaptation, climate change has been harmful to animals. Now, this is my first paraphrase. So what I have to do is introduce the paraphrase before I can just get into the fact. Then explanation and elaboration should flow right from the evidence. So that won't need it. You won't need to add anything in there. But again, I can't just go from my explanation elaboration of the last quote into another quote. I need to introduce the quote. And then explanation elaboration can flow from the quote. And then at the very end here, you should transition into the next body paragraph. Now, in the past, I've actually used the acronym ICE for introducing, citing your evidence, and then explaining or elaborating that evidence to help students remember that you have to do this for each quote. You have to make a quote sandwich. Some teachers might have told you in the past, right? You introduce your quote, that's the I in ICE, you cite it, and then you explain or elaborate upon it. And that's the formula you really want to make sure you're using with your evidence. All right, I think it's very helpful to read through to add these things, okay? So I'm going to start by reading my topic sentence, and then I'll figure out how I'm going to introduce the paraphrase. My topic sentence reads, because climate change is occurring more quickly than animal adaptation, climate change has been harmful to animals. Animals' abilities to adapt as climates change, as well as their ecosystem's ability to adapt, may not be able to keep pace with changes to the Earth's climate caused by human activity. All right, so this isn't terribly different from what the topic sentence says, but it is more specific. So what I love is the phrase more specifically. This is a very short introduction to the quote, like the phrase for example, comma, right? But that's valid. So I'm giving you today a handout that gives you some ideas about how to introduce quotes. This would be a signal phrase. It's a word or phrase, right, that introduces that what you're about to say is more specific evidence. So I love the phrase more specifically, or in particular, or for example is fine as well, or for instance. Okay, so we've got one of those done. If animals are not able to adapt or change their ways as fast as their world is changing, they will struggle to survive. How are animals supposed to anticipate changes to their climate or habitat when humans cause all the damage? All right. I can't, after asking this profound question, just go right into a quote. All right. My quote reads, scientists say animals like roe deer and magpies are not able to adapt quickly enough to keep pace with the changing climate. I think I'm going to use an attributive tag to introduce this one. So I'm going to say where this information came from and kind of explain a little bit about what the information is. So I'm going to write Nina Massey of News 7 reported on declines in populations of animals that were not able to adapt to changes to their climate. Now, because I'm using the author's name here, I can take it out of the in-text citation. The other thing you might notice is I use something called a colon at the end of this introduction to the quote. I did that because this is a complete sentence that is linked, right, to my quote, and so you can use a colon when you have a complete sentence before your quote. All right, and now all I have to do is transition to the next body paragraph. So my explanation elaboration says, the roe deer is a very common species of deer, and the magpie is a bird in the crow family. Climate change is directly responsible for putting the populations of animals like these at risk. Unfortunately, climate change is not just putting these organisms at risk of extinction. Okay, so this is my transition into the next body paragraph, which is talking about how habitats and food sources are being affected by climate change. And so I use this word organisms here because to refer a little bit to habitats and food sources like plant life. Phrases like not just or not the only thing, right, help your reader kind of understand that you're going to go into another example in your body paragraph too, and that's another thing that makes this transition effective. You also have on Google Classroom, guys, a transition reference. So this gives you transition words, like more specifically, right, when you're providing examples, and some slides and more examples of how to do this transition sentence at the end of the body paragraph. But hopefully this helps you feel more prepared to put your body paragraph all together. Okay, good luck, and please reach out via email if you have any specific questions. Thanks.